Members of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. A lot of times my frustrations with people's comments on my page have nothing to do with the point they're actually making. It's about how they're going about making the point. Let me explain. I take this out of religious terms. We're putting it in political terms. For example, if somebody who is anti-gun thinks that we probably shouldn't all have guns, especially like really destructive guns. If they look at someone who's pro-guns and they're like, hey, we should make all guns illegal, then the person who is pro-guns is going to be like, bad guys will still get guns. Doesn't matter if you make it illegal, people are still going to do it. So then they'll say, we have to make guns legal so that the good guys can protect themselves. Now, to someone who's pro-gun, that sounds like a great argument. Until you flip the argument on its head and start talking about abortion. Someone will be like, hey, we need to outlaw abortions because they're bad. And then the defense is, if we outlaw those abortions, people who want to get abortions are still going to get abortions. Maybe we should make them legal so that the people who need abortions can get abortions and protect themselves. Now, I'm not making a claim about whichever one of those points is correct. The argument is wrong. The way that you're making that argument is incorrect. Because if you're justifying your argument about guns by saying that people are going to get guns even if they're illegal, so might as well make them legal, that same idea, that same logic follows towards abortions. And so if you think you're justified in your logic, then they must be justified in their logic, right? So in perspective of what people like, there's certain people I know that comment on my page and they're like agnostic, like they don't really believe in God, but they kind of believe in God. They assume that if there is a God, he's going to behave the way that they think he should behave. Because what God would do, insert whatever they don't like about the Bible, Book of Mormon, any religion. So then, members of the church will often be like, well, I don't believe this thing about this, but I do believe this thing about this. Talking about our own dogma and theology. People who are agnostic will be like, no, you can't pick and choose. You can't pick and choose. Well, then, by your own you can't pick and choose, but that's what you do. If you believe that you should be able to pick and choose what God is, you can't get mad at somebody else who might pick and choose what their own theology is. Now, once again, I'm not making a claim for either one of those sides. I'm frustrated at the argument. When people are like, oh, well, the Bible, the Trinity is biblical. It's in the Bible. So that means we should believe in it. Okay, name one belief that members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints have that isn't in the Bible. People will often revert to talking about temples and things like that. Temples, they're in the Bible. Maybe even people will talk about like 3 degrees of glory, heaven. That's found in the Bible. Again, I need to be very clear. I'm not justifying any of those ideas. I'm frustrated at the argument. Most of Mormon apologetics are just us trying to be like, do you not see how the argument you're making flipped around on its head just discredits your own ideas as well? And maybe that's the point. Maybe people are trying to show members of the church that all of their beliefs are hogwash because they believe that their own beliefs are hogwash. And if that's the case, then it doesn't matter. Let them go. Let them be fine. Anyways, that's what frustrates me. There it is. And in the end, I'm not worried too much about the way people think about my theology or my dogma, because all I'm worried about is Jesus, baby, and Jesus' atonement. If somebody is honestly, sincerely following Christ, I think that's dope. Can we just agree on that?